Now we're on to the company section. We're going to do 7-minute presentations, 7-minute Q&A, and we'll keep things moving fast. So our first company is called Ocodes. They're a part of the Boom Startup program. And Dave Oldham, who's the CEO, is going to present. And basically, I describe it and understand it as if you take the physical world and kind of mash it up with SMS messaging, little short code text messaging, that's Ocodes. And I always ask, every company we ask some FAQs to, and the one we always read here is, what 3 lessons, observations would you tell other entrepreneurs? So this is coming from Dave and from Ocodes. Number 1, get paying customers as early in the process as possible. If you have an idea, make a PowerPoint and see if you can get a contract before you've built or coded anything. All ideas are lame until someone is willing to get out their wallet. Number 2, customer service satisfaction, loyalty is a key to success in any market. But this doesn't mean just doing whatever they want. Henry Ford's famous quote about faster horses. You have to know your customer well enough to solve their problems even when they can't articulate them. And number 3, trust everyone, but get everything in writing. And that's great advice. So Dave, if you want to come up and tell us about Ocodes.
Okay, before you start the 7-minute timer, I have to say 2 quick things. Thanks to Steve for the presentation, but the next time I see an IP lawyer, I'll probably just bust out laughing, so it's going to be hard for me to get that image out of my mind. And I want to give a shout out to BTJD. They're my lawyers, and they're awesome. They've done a great job helping us, and I just wanted to say, thanks to them for all the help that they've given us at Ocodes. So, okay, with that, here we go. Ocodes allow consumers to interact with offline content using simple text messages. So the idea came about because I'm an avid magazine reader, and I would end up dog-earing all of these articles or circling gear in the magazines that I liked with the intention that eventually I would go online and find this thing and put it in my wish list or put it in my shopping cart or share it with my friends on Facebook, but I never would. So I'd end up with these stacks of magazines with dog-eared pages, and my wife would throw them away. And she did the same thing with fashion magazines. Like, she would look at all the stuff that she loved in Lucky or in any of the other ones, and she would, so the Hanks do it too. So they were, dog-earing the pages. She would take her marker and she would circle the purse or the accessories that she loved, and then she would show it to her sisters, and all with the intention that she would eventually go buy this thing or put it in her wish list, but she never would go online and find it, and then those things, she'd miss the deals and pass up on the opportunities. On the other side of the fence, there's all these publishers and advertisers out there spending a great deal of money getting these items in front of us, but they don't know that I'm dog-earing the page and that my wife is circling that item with the marker. They have no idea that we have an intent or an interest to purchase this thing or to share this article until we actually do it. So it's hard for them to measure the level of interactivity that they have with consumers in their offline settings. Ocodes aims to bridge the gap between offline and online, and we do it with simple text messages. You may be saying, this is a stupid idea. In fact, I saw Ben Peterson walk in earlier, and I vetted the idea with him about a year and a half ago. And I said, Ben, what do you think about this idea? He said, it's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. And right then I knew I had a winner. So I pursued it really aggressively after I got that no from Ben. But you maybe say, well, print and offline is dying. Everything's going to be digital. I mean, look at the iPad. That's the story that everyone tells me. I said, I love it. My version of the future, my vision of the future isn't that we're going to have an all-digital world. I think it's going to be a hybrid mix of offline and online. And there's certain advantages that offline content has. It may be offline digital, like a digital billboard, or offline digital like TV, but there's a level of exposure that we get to content offline that we don't get in a digital world where mostly we're searching for stuff or have something that we already purchased, we already knew we like. I don't browse Cabela's.com, but I browse all of their catalogs and I find tons of stuff that I didn't know I wanted before I saw it there. Okay, this isn't a sexist thing. We're doing demos right now to Victoria's Secret. They actually found us on Twitter, which was kind of it's a whole other social media story that I could tell sometime. But their chief marketing officer tweeted about a month ago, Ocodes is super cool. And I looked up this guy's bio and I'm like, oh, this guy from New York thinks Ocodes is super cool. Turns out it's chief marketing officer of Victoria's Secret. So I said, slammin', let's hook up. And what we've done is we take all of the catalog numbers in the catalog, and they become these little codes that you can text to our number, and then we send information back on the phone which can include pictures or video or a link to the item in the online store. So the person sees the code, they text it to the number, they get information back on their phone. They're immediately immersed in additional content beyond what they can put in the catalog, and they're instantly jumped to the point of being able to put it into their wish list or their shopping cart or purchase it right there on their phone. Now, with magazines, it's a similar concept, except here you use our little O-code emblem and you create a code, you assign it to an article, to gear or gadgets in the magazines, or to advertising in the magazines. The consumer sees the code, texts it to our number. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. Text it to our number, and they can include a little command to automatically push it to their Facebook wall or to their Twitter stream or save it into Evernote. So right from the text message, without having to launch a separate application, they see something they want to share, and they share it out to their social networks, and we save a link for them online. So now I've got my own personal archive of all the articles that I liked, and I didn't have to go online and try and find it and then save it. So in a nutshell, what we do is we amplify exposure to the content from the offline setting where we encounter a lot of that information initially. We deepen immersion by allowing them to get video and audio and pictures on their phone right at the moment that they initially get exposed to that content. And we help convert people by allowing them to share that content instantly with their friends or put it in a shopping cart if it's an item that they want to buy, or purchase it immediately on their phone. It's free for consumers beyond your normal text messaging plan. We don't charge anything extra. For publishers and advertisers, we charge for the fees and we charge for the text messages. And in the future, as we build up an analytics database of how people are interacting with our offline content, the analytics will actually become really, really valuable. These are the people who like us. We're demoing right now to Panasonic, Victoria's Secret, Us Magazine, and Rustico Leather. A good friend of mine, Isaac Childs, his catalogs that go out in August will be O-codes enabled. We've been doing publishing technology for about 16 years. I have two partners that are genius programmers. I'm just a big idea guy. I dream it up and they build it. And we're surrounded with tons of really great friends and partners. So to Steve's point, we knew that we would need a lot of help in spreading this idea around, and we've been lucky enough to have lots of really, really great friends and partners that are helping us spread this idea. We also have great advisors. We were lucky enough to be accepted into the Boom Startup Program. We did it not for the valuation, which was pretty crappy, by the way, but for the mentorship, the access to these guys who've done it all many times and know what they're doing, and it's been invaluable many times over. I would tell any company, if you're thinking about doing the next Boom Startup, totally worth it. These guys are awesome, and we think it's going to really help us be successful. We do have some competitors. You've seen these little fancy things in magazines before. We actually started down this route in the beginning, but we could see that the adoption and the hardware technology was a little bit slow. So we backed out of that and went just to the text messaging, because everyone has a phone that can send a text message. But the architecture that we built will accept any kind of original input, and we think that the future is actually going to be a hybrid mix of voice spoken codes, text-based codes, picture recognition, where I can just take a picture, a photo of an item, and it will recognize what it is, as well as the barcodes and QR codes. And our system can handle any of those inputs, and we think that the future is going to be a mix of all of those. But right now, the reasons why we didn't go with the QR codes right out of the gate is because of some limitations, that you can't use QR codes in every single scenario, where you can use the text message codes. These are all the places where O-codes can work, and we're starting with magazines and catalogs, but you probably started cranking around in your mind like, wow, yeah, I could actually come to the Museum of Natural History or to the Museum of Ancient Life, and the exhibits could have O-codes on them. I text the code, and I get information, a little video back from my kids. I unlock a badge in Foursquare. I get information that gets posted up to my Facebook wall immediately. It's pretty cool stuff. And we can do this kind of thing for a lot of different settings where you're exposed to content initially in an offline world. All of these are live O-codes, so if any of you are really rambunctious or curious, you can text any of these words that you see inside of the O-code banner to 62626, and you'll get information about that particular thing back on your phone. You can also text the word O-codes to 62626, and we'll send you this PowerPoint presentation as a PDF on your phone. So if you got a smartphone, then you'll have my presentation, and you can follow up on it later and ask me any questions that you want. So with that, Q&A.